10 traumatic signs showing that you're being emotionally abused by your spouse. Hi friends, welcome to Marriage Realities, a comprehensive relationship channel. Today's video is all about the ways you're emotionally abused by your spouse. Your spouse might not physically abuse you, but you feel the pain of being assaulted when you're often emotionally abused by your spouse. You might not openly see the emotional abuse of your spouse, but you feel the pain emotional abuse creates within you excruciatingly. An unwarranted comment about your family or appearance or character hurts you so intensively that you feel insulted by your spouse. Mostly, the comments of your spouse will not seem a direct attack on you. The degrading comments of your spouse will be that intelligently camouflaged in the most innocuous of words. You may not be able to pinpoint you're being insulted, but you feel it deeply within you. Shall we now have a glimpse of the signs that clearly show that you're being emotionally abused by your spouse? The number one sign of being emotionally abused by your spouse is being degraded. You always want your spouse to like you for what you are, but your spouse takes upon every occasion to have a dig at you, so much so that you feel abused by him or her. Unwarranted comments about your appearance makes you feel unattractive and undesirable. Are you going to wear this dress? Do you think this color will suit you? You're looking too fat. This sort of hurting words with a tinge of bite in the voice of your spouse adds to your agony. Not only comments about your appearance, words which depict your character in a negative light are all emotional abuse in its worst form. The number two way you're emotionally abused by your spouse is being accused. Whatever your family problem might be, your spouse accuses you as the reason behind it. You're accused of being irresponsible towards your family. You're accused of being a spendthrift if you indulge in tiniest of your personal wishes. Whenever any arguments or fights accrue between you, the reason behind it has to be you. When you're continuously accused as the reason behind anything bad happening in your relationship, you feel used and abused by your spouse. The number three way you're emotionally abused by your spouse is not being supported. Marriage is a huge responsibility. You have tons of family duties to fulfill. You also have numerous financial commitments to be met. You cannot fulfill all these family duties alone. You need the support of your spouse to handle your never-ending family duties. When your spouse supports you in all your family responsibilities, you feel emotionally supported. But when your spouse leaves you in the lurch and makes you bear the brunt of your family duties, you feel mentally exhausted and drained. You also feel emotionally abused by your spouse when he or she holds away from family responsibilities. The number four way you're emotionally abused by your spouse is being let down before family, friends or relatives. You never want your spouse to let you down before his or her family or friends. But your emotionally abusive spouse takes derisive pleasure in degrading you before his or her family or friends. You cringe with shame when your spouse reels out details about the personal issues that happen between both. Your way of doing your work is made fun of. Your dress sense or your appearance is made fun of. All in an indirect manner wherein others do not understand the hurting pitch behind the words uttered by your spouse. Only you could feel the undertone of emotional abuse in it. The number five way you're emotionally abused by your spouse is being given the silent treatment. It feels like hell when your spouse refuses to react to any of your communication. You want to discuss family issues with your spouse. You might want to sort out your relationship issues with your spouse. There are times you want to share your feelings with your spouse. All these are normal expectations you have in your relationship. But when you're being emotionally abused, you're given the silent treatment by your spouse. However much you try, your spouse refuses to interact with you. Your spouse seems to have become that much deaf-eared towards your interactions. Naturally, the silent treatment meted out to you by your spouse makes you feel lonely and neglected in your married life. The number six way you're emotionally abused by your spouse is forced to live up to too much expectations. When your spouse has too much expectations about you, he or she becomes too demanding that you're all at sea not knowing how to fulfill it. Your spouse demands that much of your unwavering attention in the name of love. Your spouse wants you to do everything according to his or her liking. You can only feel exhausted and mentally tired fulfilling one wish after another which your spouse keeps demanding from you. The number 7 way you're emotionally abused by your spouse is being denied your rights to your hard-earned money. In your emotionally abusive relationship, you're denied your rights towards the money you earn. Your hard-earned money is literally fleeced by your spouse. You're left so penniless by your spouse that you're unable to help your parents or fulfill your personal desires. The number 8 way you're emotionally abused by your spouse is being yelled at. Your emotionally abusive spouse often displays wild anger in full public view. It is as though your spouse derives sadistic pleasure in seeing your sense of shame. You might be with your friends or colleagues. Your abusive spouse is not bothered about it. Your spouse shouts at you in a demeaning manner. The body language of your spouse is so abusive that you feel its full impact. The number 9 way you're emotionally abused by your spouse is violent display of anger. When your spouse is abusive, he or she could act violently towards you. Your spouse might not physically assault you, but your spouse throws things around in furious display of anger. Your spouse displays his or her anger by punching the wall, imagining it is you. The violent display of anger by your spouse makes you feel abused and ill-treated by him or her. The number 10 way you're emotionally abused by your spouse is being denied your personal space. Your spouse clings to you 24/7 in the name of love. You do not enjoy a moment of privacy in your married life. You cannot do a thing without your spouse breathing down your neck. You're compelled to curb all your personal desires to accommodate your spouse. Your spouse is so clinging that you long for at least a moment of personal time to be just yourself. When you're consistently emotionally abused by your spouse, you do not enjoy your married life. You feel that your married life is one hell of a torture to you. You want your spouse to respect you for what you are. When you're not respected by your spouse, you feel that your married life offers you nothing. Did this video make you understand the traumatic ways you're emotionally abused by your spouse? Marriage Realities will have many such relationship eye-openers. Subscribe to my channel to understand your marriage in a new light. Press the bell icon for updates about my latest relationship videos. Make love forever until death do us part your relationship goal.